Fashion is all about staying unique, isn't it? People create custom-tailored clothing and many other everyday items. But some items like a watch band is, or should I say was, more difficult to create. At SelfCAD, we would like to show you how you can 3D model your unique watch band and 3D print it with flexible filaments that will feel and look really nice. Want to try? Then let's begin. We start by modeling the base. Select top view and orthographic projection to turn the workspace into a 2D canvas. Go to drawing section and select 3D sketch. In the drop-down, find precision settings and switch on minimum step size and set the size to 5 and check the override option. Choose rectangular sketch and set number of edges to 7. To draw the base, we will start the first point from the center of the grid and move on the second point 2 steps, each step of 5, and then move down by the same amount, so the total edge length is 20. Then set the width to 72, and so we have a 20 by 72 rectangle. Now let's make a divider to separate the band from the part with the magnets. Choose line sketch for this, find the top and bottom second points and draw a line between them. For the next step, move the camera more to the right, and now let's create the part that will attach the band to the watch. It should have a width of 5, and since our rectangle ends at 72 from the center, draw a line at position 77 on the x-axis and set -17 as the first point on the z-axis and 17 on the second point to get an edge length of 34. Then click escape not to make unneeded dots. Now let's combine them all with an arc sketch. Select a 2-point arc. Make sure you have the override step size on so it ignores the minimum step size when snapping to other points. Then draw the arc between the rectangle and the line and set the angle to 1.5 and repeat the same on the other side and close. Before we switch back to the perspective projection, we need to make a pattern. I'm doing it right now because it's easier to draw an appropriate pattern before I convert this profile into a mesh and lose the clear borders. So select the freehand tool and unhide all objects. Choose the line sketch and draw a pattern you want. I will make it from triangles. Now set the height to 2 and apply. Then turn the perspective projection back on to see our results. To turn this profile into a 3D object, use fill polygons in the tool section. Then to add height, use extrusion with a value of 2. I will rename all objects now and hide the band pattern as we won't work with it now. We need to extrude the part where the magnet is supposed to be a bit higher. For this, switch to top view, turn on face selection, and switch to Mesh plus wireframe mode to see the lines we drew to divide the objects into 2 parts. Then select the smaller part and extrude it by 1. Next we will create the cylinder that we will use to make a hole to position the magnets. Choose cylinder and set height to 2.3. both radiuses to 1.5 and vertical segments to 64 and finalize. Now we need to move it to the center of this part. However, to position it correctly, we need to do the math, and that can take some time. So I will show you an interesting tip how you can make such moves much faster. Every object has a pivot point that is used for the object's coordinates. By default it is in the center, but you can position it on some fixed positions of the object, or as in our case, we will position it manually. Open Advanced Settings and use Manual Gizmo Position and place it in the center of this section. You can see that we have 5.03 on x-axis, and that's the distance between this part and the center of the grid. So we simply need to set the x-axis to 0, and this will place it in the center of the grid and align it with the cylinder. You can see the results by switching to wireframe mode. If we deselect the object, the pivot point will reset back to the center of the object, and so we now have 33.47 instead of 0 on the x-axis. Now if you rotate the object by 180 degrees on the x-axis, you will see that we are still missing the back faces. We can fill it with the Fill Polygon tool as we did before, but I want to show you that we can also fill it with Magic Fix tool. Select the base, turn on Magic Fix and set it to 100 and apply. Before we create the final part and make the assembly, I will unhide our pattern and align it using the Align utility. Set the base as a reference and align it to the top. I will also set a minus 0.1 offset on the y-axis to make it bulge in so that it will solidify correctly on the final step. The last part we need to create is a connector between the band and the watch. Select the cylinder shape and set the height to 34, top and bottom radiuses to 1.5, and rotate it by 90 degrees on the x-axis. Then, to place it correctly on the base, use the Align tool, select the right and middle option, but we need to place it on the right edge horizontally, so set minus 0.6 on the x-axis and move it to 0.5 on the y-axis. Now select all objects except the part that will be used to cut and merge them. We are almost done, but we first need to create the second band. We can simply make a copy of all the objects and rotate them or use the mirror tool, but I would like to show you how you can do it using the pivot tool in a copy offset. This tool will do it all in one step, and it's also a very powerful tool for creating many copies in a circular pattern. Now let's rename the objects. Then select the band and position it at 0.1 on the y-axis, so the object for the magnet will be a little lower. Select the first set and apply Stitch and Scoop with Options Difference, and select the cylinder in the drop-down to cut the cylinder out from the base. For the second band, we need the cut on top, so position the cylinder to 0.75 and repeat the same Stitch and Scoop process. As we are done, I'm deleting the profile and I'm applying the final magic fix to make sure the object is ready to print.